John Wark's footballing journey is one that transcends the familiar confines of professional sport. His tale is etched into the fabric of Ipswich town, immortalised at Anfield, and carries with it the spirit of a man who, time and again, proved that goal-scoring genius is as much about timing and instinct as it is about talent. Wark's emergence in 1975 was not accompanied by fanfare or promises of stardom. He was, after all, a fifth-choice centre-half for Ipswich's youth team, a position that carries little glamour or expectation. Yet by the season's end, he was not only part of the first team, but an integral cog in a machine carefully constructed by Bobby Robson. It was Robson who saw what others might have missed, guiding Wark away from the centre of defence and setting him free in midfield. In that role, Wark became something special, a player whose ability to glide unnoticed into the box seemed preternatural. The zenith of his time at Ipswich came during the 1980-81 season, a campaign that would see him crowned both PFA Player of the Year and Young European Player of the Year.
Footballer of the Year for 1980-81 is John Wark.
I'm really thrilled about this award. It means a lot to me. I'd like to thank all the players who voted for me. And I must give a special thanks to all my teammates who helped me a lot this year and made it easy for me. Thank you.
That year, Ipswich scaled the heights of European football, with Wark contributing a staggering 14 goals in their UEFA Cup triumph. His tally equalled that of the legendary Jose Altafini, a record that reflected Wark's unique knack for making decisive contributions when it mattered most.
7 minutes later, Muren's corner, Mariners layoff, and John Wark equals the record of 14 goals in a European competition. 5 minutes later, AZ score a third. Peters crosses, Jonker flicks on, Toll makes it 3-2 to AZ on the night, but 5-3 down on aggregate. 16 minutes from time, the gap narrows even further. Jonker strikes with a spectacular free kick, but Ipswich hold on for their first European trophy.
Ipswich finished as runners-up in the league that season, thwarted only by Aston Villa, but it was clear that Wark was reaching the very pinnacle of his powers. Yet, there was more to Wark than just football. He was one of those rare players whose personality and exploits off the pitch were almost as compelling as those on it. His foray into the world of film, starring alongside the likes of Sylvester Stallone and Pelé in Escape to Victory, stands as a curious footnote in a career defined by more traditional forms of glory. Wark's recollections of his time on set offer an insight into a man both down-to-earth and unflinchingly honest. His admiration for Michael Caine and Pelé contrasts with his bemusement at Stallone's Hollywood bravado, a reflection of the cultural gap between gritty British football and American stardom.
And it was the best 5 weeks, I've ever had. You imagine mine going with these. The only person, Sylvester Stallone, he actually stayed in a different hotel from everybody. He thought he was bigger than everybody, you know what I mean? But he wasn't the cleverest, in my opinion, because when he was asked about the football, he says, "Can I score the winning goal?" And we went, "You're the goalkeeper. That doesn't happen." So he didn't realise that one. And as I say, in the end, he says, "Well, can I be the hero with saving a penalty?" And he did, but it took 8 takes before he actually saved it.
But football would remain Wark's stage, and after lifting the UEFA Cup with Ipswich, his talents inevitably attracted attention from elsewhere. In 1984, it was Liverpool who came calling, and Wark's move to Anfield brought with it the expectation that he could fill the void left by the departing Graham Souness. His arrival on Merseyside, however, was as unorthodox as it was unexpected. The medical examination, if one could call it that, was conducted with a casualness that bordered on the farcical. A doctor who reeked of alcohol and a solitary toe touch later, Wark had passed his medical and was set to don the famous red shirt. Liverpool, for all its professionalism, was not immune to the drinking culture that permeated football in the 1980s. Wark found in his new teammates an equal appetite for the nightlife, and by his own admission, there was little to distinguish Liverpool's squad from his former colleagues at Ipswich when it came to their capacity for revelry. It was in this environment, however, that Wark thrived. Despite doubts from some corners, his first full season at Liverpool would see him silence critics with a stunning return of 27 goals, making him the club's leading scorer. There is something quintessentially Wark about that feat, achieved not through flair or trickery, but through an unfailing ability to arrive in the box at the perfect moment. It was a skill honed at Ipswich, where his timing could, as Bob Paisley so aptly put it, be measured with a watch. His goals were rarely spectacular, but they were relentless, and in the context of a Liverpool side competing on multiple fronts, invaluable. Yet, for all his achievements in front of goal, Wark's time at Liverpool was not without its struggles. Injuries began to creep into his game, particularly in his second and third seasons, and the emergence of Jan Mulby, a player whose technical brilliance offered a different dimension, gradually pushed Wark to the fringes. But even in the face of physical setbacks, his reputation as one of the finest goal-scoring midfielders of his era remained intact. Wark's ability to find the back of the net from midfield was not just a quirk of his playing style, it was the cornerstone of his career. Despite his successes at Anfield, the pull of Ipswich never truly left Wark, and in January 1988, he made his way back to the club where it had all begun. Bobby Robson's words echoed in his ears, "Go where you will be happiest." And for Wark, happiness was always at Portman Road. Ipswich, by now a second division outfit, welcomed him back with open arms, and Wark's eye for goal had lost none of its sharpness. His penalties, a source of consistent precision, became a reliable asset, with Wark converting 38 out of 43 spot kicks during his time at the club. As Ipswich's fortunes continued to ebb and flow, Wark remained a constant, even as he entered his late 30s. His third spell at the club saw him revert to his original role at centre-half, a testament to his versatility and enduring value to the team. By the time he hung up his boots, Wark had amassed over 820 appearances and 223 goals, a tally that would be the envy of many strikers, let alone midfielders. Wark's international career too was far from insignificant. With 29 caps for Scotland and a brace of goals at the 1982 World Cup, he made his mark on the global stage, even if injuries prevented him from making further appearances at the 1986 tournament. But it was at Ipswich, and to a lesser extent Liverpool, that his true legacy lies. The tributes to Wark are many, and deservedly so. He was inducted into Ipswich Town's Hall of Fame, a fitting accolade for a man whose contributions to the club spanned decades. His former teammates, managers, and even opponents speak of him with reverence, not just for his goals, but for the character and humility he brought to the dressing room. In a football world that often veers towards the brash and the overconfident, John Wark was an antidote to excess. His game was built on the simple truths of timing, intelligence, and perseverance. And in that simplicity, he found greatness.